This is episode 109 for August 22nd, 2017. We talk the Obi Wan movie, MoviePass news, a Philip K. Dick TV series, and more. Next on Legion of Dads.
Dad's home.
Hi, Dad.
Lord of the manor, king of the castle.
Well, that seems appropriate.
I am a dad.
We are dads.
We are many. We are one. We are the Legion of Dads. The Legion.
Dads.
Hello.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Join us.
The Legion of Dads.
An entire legion.
Great, Dad.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Daddy-o.
From now on, we'll be known as the Legion.
So we are many.
We acknowledge this is an appropriate metaphor. We are Legion.
We are the Legion of Dads.
You are not alone. We are all in this together now.
Hello and welcome to Legion of Dads, a show for the modern dad. We talk movies, comics, video games, and how to be a great dad. I am your host, Wyatt Cagle, and with me as always, my co-host, he is the Jedi Master, the father of two, Kenneth Dupuy.
Hey, Wyatt. Hey, Legion. Let's do this.
And he is father of four, obsessed with getting a Super Nintendo, Richard.
A Super Nintendo classic. I already have a Super Nintendo.
Okay, all right. Just making sure that you're still obsessed. It's still sad.
It's semantics. Get it right.
It's semantics. Well, it's a SNES, right?
Oh, geez.
We've determined that, right? That's your preferred nomenclature.
I'm out.
Well, let's get into the show, gentlemen. First on the docket we have is probably the best news we've had come out of the prequels of Star Wars. Kenneth, do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah. So, earlier this last week, Hollywood Reporter broke a story that I don't know how much Lucasfilm has confirmed or denied, but they say that Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff film is in the works over at Lucasfilm, and that not only that is that they are also talking to a director. Stephen Daltrey is his name. He's done a couple other things like The Hours and Billy Elliot to kind of oversee both the script writing process and assemble the creative team with Lucasfilm, which I think is a good plan. If anything, these Star Wars spinoff movies they're making, they maybe learn their lesson, bring the director in before the script's written. But anyway, this is awesome news. Fans have been clamoring for an Obi-Wan film ever since Disney bought Lucasfilm.
And also ever since like episode 1. Because we're all right, we watched that and we went, what we really wanted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no question that Ewan McGregor is one of the highlights of those prequel movies. I think he's a good actor, and I think he honored that character in such a way. Not so much in the first one; he didn't have much to do, but I felt like he really took Alec Guinness's performance and really tried to make it. There's some kind of semblance there. Now, I mean, I don't know if you can watch episode 3 and then go watch A New Hope and say, okay, 20 years later, Ewan McGregor looks like this, but
well, he was out in the desert, some wear and tear on the human body. He's actually not human, or he's humanoid, so maybe they just age. Maybe they age to like 50 and then they die. I don't know.
At this point, this is just kind of a scoop from Hollywood Reporter. And that's just some of their sources say the development is happening. I don't think Lucasfilm has come out and made anything official yet. I'm pretty sure they're going to want to lock down some names. And at this point, Ewan McGregor isn't even, they haven't locked him down yet, which I'm sure he's stated several times in the media over the last few years that he'd be interested in returning. I think he did some voice work on The Force Awakens, came in and recorded a line for the force back that Rey had when she touched Anakin's lightsaber. But I think that it would be a no-brainer to bring him back, obviously. But, what's interesting to me about this movie is really all the things they could do with it. I mean, because you could really kind of do a little bit of an older Obi-Wan that's closer to A New Hope, and he's, could be remembering something that happened that's a story that spanned a younger part of his life in the Clone Wars or some of the prequel era stuff and tied into something he's dealing with now, or you could just go with a story that picks up right off episode 3. I think there's a lot of options here.
Oh, I'm looking at, I mean, did you guys ever pick up, I think it was Star Wars from the journals of old Ben Kenobi or old Obi-Wan? I think it's Star Wars, the journals of old Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm pretty sure that's the name of the comic. And I think it's Legends now. It's not in continuity.
Right.
Because probably this movie would fit right between episode 3, episode 4. And this comic is probably it's just basically Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to stay low, being defeated as a Jedi Knight, having to be in exile. He's there to protect Luke. He's fighting his urges to be he's kind of a broken man.
Right.
And it's a really interesting comic. It kind of opens the door for a lot of things.
I remember
I think
that
would be really cool. Yeah. And they also did some, I think sideshow toys or sideshow sculptures. They did like a sculpture.
I remember
of it.
that. I remember that. That was that was great. It was like kind of a half Ewan McGregor, half Alec Guinness version of Obi-Wan. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so I'm hoping that that's where they take it. And I would love to see this basically Star Wars Ben Kenobi meets the movie Unforgiven. Just this.
We're really like the
gunslinger.
lone samurai, back to what we thought the Jedi was when you first watched A New Hope. Just
he's Ronin. He is a samurai without a master. He is going around, but he has to stay. I guess the thing is, like, he has to stay incognito, and in the comic, and then also there's some other material where it talks about how he becomes almost like a fix-it guy, and he protects people around the or basically around the sky, or the Uncle Ben and Aunt Maru, their moisture farm where Luke is. He protects that area and makes sure that the Sand People don't, and the Jabba's fiends don't come and extort money from them and stuff like that.
Well, I think that some of this, if you guys have ever watched Star Wars Rebels or are familiar with it, there's kind of that age that we're talking about. Obi-Wan makes an appearance in I believe the latest season.
It's like the second to last of the last episode. Showdown
with Darth Maul, which is really cool. But he talks, of course, about his certain point of view. But I think that was really cool there, because it was like giving you the peek that, okay, he's there making sure that nothing happens, to Luke. But I hope there's obviously some creative license. And, with the great thing of all these old Star Wars comics and books over the years that have been turned into legends, you've now, that they haven't made it canon, is kind of freeing to this story group at Lucasfilm. So they can take the great things, hopefully, from some of these other stories that writers and artists have done over the years, and take the things that everybody loved out of them and try to make something new, hopefully with Ewan McGregor, that can kind of line up with what everybody wants to see, but also definitely stay with his character. So
I want to see him get Ray Park back with his robot legs.
Well,
I'm sure Ray Park would love that.
Okay, we'll all right. This is spoiler time for Rebels
and Clone Wars,
but really for Rebels, specifically this episode that you're referring to, because that.
Well, I'm referring to a comic, but I know they've been talking about it for years, and then they actually did it.
Yeah, they did it, and it's not like the comic. The comic, so spoilers have started. Skip ahead. You can't, the Legion cannot get mad at me about this. And also, season 3 of Rebels has been out for a while. So,
yeah,
you've been warned. So, the comic, I know the one that you're talking about. The comic where Darth Maul comes back is kind of balls out.
Yeah.
Just craziness. He's got huge spike. Darth Maul's got huge spikes, and his cyber legs are these claws. They're talons.
It's got like Grievous legs.
Combat. Yeah, exactly. It has Grievous legs. So, and that is a big drawn out fight. It's multiple pages, multiple panels, big to do. The one in Rebels is beautiful.
Yeah, it's really poignant for the characters.
Done. Yeah, it is so well done. It is so it's not people flipping around, because this is both of these men are of older in age and more refined in technique,
and they've been through hell.
And they've both been through hell, and there's a kinship between them. And really and I feel that the writers did such a wonderful job on Rebels that you see the difference that Obi-Wan has sat and meditated and been with himself so long that he realizes maybe some of the errors in his ways and what he did wrong. And he's reconciled that. And now he knows his destiny. He knows his path, what is clear. So he is very much more centered and in line where Maul is almost like a wounded animal. He's almost come to Kenobi to die. Like he even knows it in a little bit. So it would be interesting with this movie to see that episode 3, and I hope they just do one. I don't want a trilogy. I want one solid movie that's just really well paced and really well done. But I would love to see the Kenobi, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, who is, I was a general. I was on top of everything. I thought that I knew everything, and then have his world collapse, and then how he mentally brings himself back up to be like, now this is my purpose.
Right. Well, I think
that would be that could be a beautiful story going from Kenobi to Ben.
Well, some Star Wars theorists out there kind of think that the reason that this hasn't been officially announced in the years past, because like I said, I've always felt like it's a no-brainer. But
we're just waiting for Ewan McGregor to age up a little.
I mean, like, I think it's got huge marketing capabilities. I mean, it's a sold ticket to so many people, prequel fan kids, and then the old original guard of Star Wars fans. I think it's a no-brainer. But there have been some rumors going around in years past, and then stuff that's happened within the sequel trilogy now, where, like I said, Ewan McGregor did a small cameo voice thing in the Force back of that Rey had in Maz's castle in The Force Awakens. There's also been some rumors that a ghost Obi-Wan could or might show up in either The Last Jedi or Episode 9, and that Lucasfilm, and this is all just speculation and rumors, that Lucasfilm was hesitant to announce to do anything with the character because they didn't know how they were going to use him necessarily just yet in the sequel trilogy. So they didn't want to do something that would cause them to have to do a retcon or make things more convoluted than they already are with Star Wars, especially with all the Legends stuff. So I think that, like, it's pretty interesting that this is coming out here now. I think it's obviously probably been on a short list for a number of years over there. But either they've decided that they're not going to use them, or they are going to use them in the sequel trilogy. They know how now. So that's what I think's happening. But also what's happened is that after a couple of days after this story broke, the source came back, or someone else came back and said not only is an Obi-Wan on the list of a possible spinoff, but there is one for Boba Fett, possibly. Ooh. They're considering that. And actually it's in the same story. They're also considering to do a spinoff for Yoda. And then a couple of days later, they came back and said, which I could believe the other two, I think would work. A sequel trilogy Boba Fett film, I think could work, which takes place after Return of the Jedi. I don't need to see anything more about young Boba Fett. But after this, they came out and said, a source revealed that they're possibly also looking at a Jabba the Hutt spinoff. And I'm just like,
quadruple boo. Richard finally chimes in.
What's next? A Bib Fortuna spinoff?
Well, honestly, though, like all all those except for the Obi Wan Kenobi do not interest me. Obi Wan Kenobi, I feel like, has a little bit more teeth. Like it has a little bit more interesting where you can bite into it.
Well, in all fairness, we know his character.
That's true, but Yoda, the more that they give me about Yoda, the less interesting he is to me.
Yeah, he needs to be a little more mysterious to stay cool. So, and
Same thing with Boba Fett.
Boba Fett
Same
has
thing
that
with Boba
going.
Fett.
But I think the Boba Fett film could have some legs. If, like I said, they did a post Return of the Jedi, he makes it out of the Sarlacc pit. A whole horde of fans will be pleased that this great bounty hunter didn't just die because he fell into a pit when his jetpack.
Allegedly great bounty hunter. We have no evidence to
and
that.
There's some comic stories that back some of that up. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see where they move forward with the Star Wars spinoffs after the Han Solo movie. Because they haven't announced any other spinoffs in their, this is one of, their biggest IPs.
I guess Rogue One proved the model then.
If Rogue One proved anything to me, it's that, it did have Darth Vader and it had Tarkin and it had the Death Star. But beyond that, the meat of the characters, spoilers, weren't anybody that you knew from previous films. And I think that proved that.
And I hope you didn't get attached.
Yeah, I think it proved that you don't need to have these super recognizable characters in order for a Star Wars film to work. You can just do something in the world.
So then they were like, well, let's do a Boba Fett and an Obi-Wan and a Yoda. and all right. Well, I found it. It's Star Wars 15 from the Journal of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's the comic. I would highly recommend going and check that out. If this sounds interesting, you can at least see what somebody else's interpretation, and then we can, hopefully see Ewan McGregor don the lightsaber one more time. And I think that would be really, really awesome. Speaking of another comic book character jumping off the page and coming to a TV show near you, Kenneth, tell us about Judge Dredd Mega City 1 TV series.
So I don't know how many the Legion out there or even you guys are familiar with Dredd, the film that came out. I guess it was 2010 or 11, something like that. No, not that long.
2012, by the way.
But in the last couple of years,
I saw it.
Carl Urban stars as Dredd.
Yeah.
It's really great. It's got a kind of the raid vibe to it. There was a lot of criticism beyond that, but Dredd's story actually was done before that, and it's just really got a lot going for it. Carl Urban was great as Dredd.
Some of the best slow motion in a movie.
Yeah, it's got a really kind of a boxed in feel in terms of the design. And you don't get to see that much of Mega City 1, but what you do see is great. So I guess I've got about a week ago, this new story came out, and it's just some of the concept art that they're talking about for this Netflix show that they have announced. That's going to just be the continuing stories of Judge Dredd. Now, at this point in time, Carl Urban is not officially attached to the show, but he is in what I've read at several different outlets in active negotiations and discussions with wanting to return to the role. I believe he wants to. It's just, as Hollywood things happen, a timing thing. When's his schedule going to allow it? He's a pretty busy guy. He's, he's in the new Thor movie. He's probably got a contract out for Star Trek. Who knows? This guy's all over the place.
But he's not above doing TV. He's not. He did a whole season of something. Robot Partner Cop.
Yeah, I remember that.
It looked interesting. I wanted to check it out, but whatever.
This concept art is really.
I want to watch that show, Robot Partner Cop.
Robot Partner Cop. I think I've seen that. But this concept art, if you guys look at it, is super detailed and gritty, and I think it shows you a side of maybe something we didn't see in Dredd, which is kind of the underbelly of the city.
I'm pretty sure that's all we saw was the underbelly.
You want to see more underbelly?
Well, I think I'm talking about the city itself. What we saw the city was mostly like a couple of highways, and then we were stuck inside of a building.
Yeah.
So I think some of this shows actually more of the city being the mega city.
More of the streets.
So more of the streets, more of, kind of this Fifth Element style flying cars and all this stuff. So it'd be really interesting to see how much of this makes it into the show with their budget.
Yeah, that's always going to be the the crux of this kind of television, I mean, that's a huge world to build. And when you do it for a movie, that's one thing. But for a TV show,
well, Netflix has been having a lot of success with these kind of.
Yeah, and they're not.
That is the only saving grace that I see.
They're not afraid to spend some money either. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it'll be interesting because and also that show was called, that he was in, was Almost Human, was the name of it. But going back to the Dredd show, or Mega City 1, the comics, have you guys delved into the actual Dredd comics?
I've delved into it a little bit, but it is
not really.
There's so many years of stories that I just was kind of like, I don't know if I can begin this.
The comics are kind of all over the place in terms of tone.
Yeah.
And they are also really kind of odd in many ways and deal with a lot of like interesting. It's a lot of interesting social commentary and about fascism and what it means to be just alongside being ultra violent. So I'm kind of interested to see what aspect that they take this in, because we've had two versions of Dredd on the silver screen. One being Dredd that we talked about from 2012. And then I know a personal favorite of Richard's is the 97? I don't know. When did Dredd?
Don't act like you don't love it.
Judge Dredd is a
Rob Schneider.
It is just 95. So it is that's a guilty pleasure.
but that's also saying that is Dredd the main character of this show? They may be calling it, Judge Dredd Mega City 1 or
and they may shorten it to Mega City 1 and it's about a completely different judge.
But he may be a supporting role in the show, which may allow even easier for him to, the same actor Carl Urban to come back. But I think it's more about the world, and I think that could be a good thing for the show, because they really didn't get too much in Dredd the movie into the character of Dredd. He was just Dredd. He was just there. He was,
but that was the beauty of that movie being, because that's the comic book. They don't. Yes. The difference between the Judge Dredd 1995 and Dredd 2012 is that Dredd 2012 is much closer to the comic in that they don't really get. I mean, Dredd is almost like a force of nature. It is not. And for a television show, you're right. Probably making him as a secondary character would be a lot more interesting, where he just kind of comes in and out versus being the main protagonist, because I don't know if we're going to get I don't know. He's almost like some versions of Batman, where the comic book, the story is not about Batman. Batman is just facilitating what is happening, and he's used as a narrative device to push it forward. But as a character, he's not growing. He is more just like a force of nature. He's a force in the story that pushes that story along. So maybe that's the way that they'll do it. He'll have, and even in Dredd, that was kind of the thing. Dredd did not have an arc. If I remember correctly, he didn't. He was a total bad A at the beginning. He was a bad A at the end.
He was a training officer for someone that was either going to pass or fail.
Right. And
not Judge Hershey.
No, not
Sadly,
Judge Hershey.
Sadly, not Judge Hershey.
Yeah. And it could still been, we love Judge Hershey. So, but even that, she had the character development. Dredd didn't.
Yeah, and you could argue that film did the exact same thing that we're talking about, that he just came in when he was needed. I'm sure the villains had more screen time. The actress, I don't remember her character's name, the other judge that he was training, she had a lot of screen time. And he would come in and just be Dredd, and that was great. You didn't need the character development. So it's going to be interesting to see how this progresses.
Well, I'm excited to see it because I do love this comic series. I do love this character. Like I said, Judge Dredd, which is a awful movie. There is no real redeeming quality of it other than, Judge Hershey. And the fact that it's just a guilty pleasure. I just love that movie.
It's great.
But Richard, tell us about how I can watch more movies and maybe find a new guilty pleasure.
Yeah. So earlier this week, a company called MoviePass, which I've been familiar with in the past, they had a subscription service where you could pay $15 to $50 a month to go see as many movies as you want. Well, they announced, but at that time it was too pricey, at least in my opinion. Earlier this week, they announced that they were coming down to a $10 unlimited movies, one per day price platform. And that's amazing. I mean, even
that's nuts.
I mean, it's insane. Like even for like my wife and I, we rarely ever get out to go see a movie, but to pay $10 a month and then like, I mean, that's a date night, like no problem. Now this happened earlier in the week. And since then, I think AMC, one of the largest movie chains, is fighting back saying that they won't honor this program. But fortunately, where I live, AMC is not an option. We have Cinemark and Regal. So win-win in my book. And so $10 a month. I'd buy a subscription for me and my wife, and then, we'll go see a movie. That's cheaper than one movie ticket. So
yeah, because I'm looking at average prices for movies, which is funny to me because I'm like, average prices movies like $8.35 to $7.96. And I'm like, that's not true. So I looked up AMC's ticket price. So an adult, this is a 2D standard movie, not IMAX, not 3D, $13.69. That's right. More accurate. Yeah. That's more accurate. So boom, one movie you have paid for a month.
Yeah. So
now I remember when this first came out because I was interested in it, like when it was at the $15 and $50 levels, and I remember doing some research, and I could be wrong about this, but I thought it was kind of like one of those things, if you guys remember the old movie trailers where they would say like no passes or something on it, it was like if a movie was in a certain time period since it's been released, could be 2 weeks or something, they wouldn't allow any like free passes to go see it.
Right, but I think they've come out and said that that's not the case with this.
With this, okay, so you can just go see on opening day a new movie for $10.
Correct.
A month.
No, you can $10 a month. You can go, if there's 30 days in the month, you can go to 30 movies.
And I like it.
Go to the same movie.
Like with
for $10.
With a bunch of kids, like we never get out, but I would still pay $20 a month just to have that option. I mean, if we got out once a month, it pays for itself. And I mean, I can understand them, they'll get their money's worth. They'll get my money, but maybe I'll go see more movies. Maybe I'll be there on a Saturday afternoon, some of these off times. And, they're probably making their money back in the concessions. But, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the business model because I guess the idea being that some people will go like Richard and his wife, they will go once a month, or maybe there'll be months that they skip.
Yeah, and I can justify, I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because as long as you see at least 12 movies a year, each of you 12 movies a year, you're golden.
I think it's only a matter of time before these big movie theaters all say that this plan is not honored. Okay, mostly okay. If you look at the numbers and you look at what Wyatt just said about pennies on the dollar for the ticket price, it all goes back to the studios or the distributors. And you look at the studios and distributors, and who do they hate right now? Netflix. And this MoviePass startup is created by a Netflix co-founder. So I don't think that they're wanting to give this guy an inch. And I think it's
I really do think that if they're smart, they will buy into this, because if they're only getting a small little percentage of the actual box office and the rest of it comes from concessions, I wonder if that's why you also see a surge, at least in my area, I'm seeing a surge in dining theaters where they serve you food, and the food is not exorbitantly priced, but it is on the higher end scale.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
If I'm part of this subscription plan, then, it's like, oh, you're going to go see a dinner and a movie. Well, my, $13 ticket or $26 worth of ticket that you usually get, well, that doesn't really, if you've got me in, like you're part of this program, I'm going to go to your theater. And if I'm going to go to a dining theater, then I'm going to spend $60, $50, $60 on a meal.
Yeah,
Probably not that much,
but that's
like
taking
$30 on a meal. I mean, that's more
that's
money
taking
that
the
they were making.
attitude that really that the theater owners have the big say in things here, but they don't. It's the big studios and the distributors who, in turn, now these days are also the big studios like Disney and Fox and Warner's and so on. You know, these guys are notorious for saying, "Hey, if you want to show this big movie, this really big, guaranteed to make your theater a lot of money, you have to show this other little film that we're also distributing." And that's been happening for years. So I think that unless the MoviePass really gets on the distributor side of things, that it's only a matter of time. I mean, that I'm sure that the theater owners are like, yeah, more concessions, that's good. But if the movie studios don't and distributors don't get on board with this, I don't know if it'll last. But it's awesome.
Yeah, but in the meantime,
I mean, I don't know if it was last, but I think that the theaters need to try something because movie theater attendance is down year over year. The prices of the tickets are going up. Less people are going. Less movies are being put out. They need to try something. And maybe it's inevitable that, it's just going the way of the dinosaurs. I hope not. I love going to the movies.
it could be going the way of Blockbuster.
But we shall see. But let's talk about something that has resurrected from the past. Richard, we're starting our on again, off again series, SNES Watch.
That's right. The SNES Watch. And y'all better get used to it because the countdown is on.
Until Nintendo sends this poor man an SNES Classic,
we are weeks away.
Continue to hear SNES Watch.
All right. So my news this week is that 5 retailers have announced that they're going to have pre-orders, and it's the obvious ones. You've got Amazon, Walmart, Target, GameStop, Best Buy. Is that all of them? I think that's it. So that's kind of my news of the week. Our SNES Watch is the pre-orders will be coming from the 5 obvious ones, and they haven't set a date yet, but stay tuned for more information.
Probably in the next 10 days because they said late August, right?
Yeah, it's coming.
So get your tents and your coolers and your fold-up chairs ready.
Well, this is
your kids, hide your wife.
That's right. This is a pre-order, so hopefully you can avoid all that. But just in case, if you're like me, get your
that's just how I usually
get your tent
handle
ready
a Thursday night.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, something else that got announced this week is
we could do an episode while we're camping overnight.
We could. Well, we could do it live.
Yeah, live streaming. Yeah.
We'll put a pin in that.
Let's put a big pin in that. So talk to us about the price drop for the Xbox One.
Well, it's not just a price drop. The next iteration of the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, Project Scorpio is coming out this fall.
Is that its full name? Still Project Scorpio is still?
It's called the Xbox One X, but they will have a Project Scorpio edition.
Yeah, because that was its like beta name or whatever.
Yeah. So
that was the original box's name.
So
that's the original Xbox was named that.
It's still there. It's coming in now. This is it's all part of the Xbox One family. It'll play all the same games, but it'll just be it'll be ready for 4K and HDR, and it'll be jacked up. It'll be the newest, latest, best, fastest system. It'll still be able to play all those games. It'll be available on November 7th at a price of $500.
So this is basically an upgrade to the Xbox One.
It's an upgrade.
All your Xbox One games are this is not a new.
That's right, and that's kind of how it's still part of it's all in the family. So it'll play. Well, and that's how they refer to it. They've got the Xbox One, the Xbox One S. Well, it's not even like a new generation.
Microsoft has turned into the Fast and the Furious. It's about family.
Yeah, that's right. It's all about family. And what excites me about it is that I'm really looking hard at getting an Xbox One. They announced some new bundles. The Xbox One S, and because of my kids, I'm looking hard at there's a Minecraft bundle, and I might have to grab that one up. But the announcement of this newer, faster, bigger Xbox, hopefully that'll drop the price of the older Xbox One S or the Xbox One or whatever other version of the current system is.
I like how you're having to buy an Xbox One S or Project Scorpio. The latest in graphic technology, pushing it through to run Minecraft.
Yeah. And there was an announcement earlier this week that actually I think it was this month, but yeah, it's because of Minecraft. There's some sort of cross-platform playability that Minecraft is at Microsoft, because Microsoft owns Minecraft now.
No, that's one of Microsoft's largest moneymakers.
That's right.
Now.
So they've got some cross-platform playability going on. And Sony is not included in that. So when exclusives aren't a big deal, when this system doesn't really matter to that one, unfortunately in my house, the one that has Minecraft matters more than anything else. And plus, because of this new generation, everybody's having to start fresh anyways. Nothing's playing. My PS3 games aren't going to play on the PlayStation 4. I have the freedom to jump on whatever platform I want. And doing so, I might as well jump onto a different one, try out some of the Halo games, maybe some of these exclusive games, Mass Effect, that I haven't been able to play previously. Now I can kind of explore their back catalog, and especially because Microsoft is gradually opening more and more of their back catalog. So
not only that, it looks like, if I'm reading this article you posted, right, this thing will actually play for the 4K Blu-ray discs.
It will. And
so that's kind of a kick in the ass to Sony, who came out with the PS4 Pro, which they should have just called it the PS4K, and made it play 4K Blu-ray discs and 4K games, but it's just kind of an interim console upgrade.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's actually really good branding that you just did there, Kenneth. Like I didn't think about that, but that's better than Pro, because I think Pro throws this idea that like, oh, okay, that's for the guy that uses Twitch. And he's got his YouTube or Twitch account and he's streaming his games and that's what he needs. Yeah. Which, I mean, it does have, the Pro does that really well, but I love the PlayStation 4K because that does make you think, oh, okay, this plays 4K video, done and done.
Yeah, and especially when Sony is one of the big manufacturers of electronics outside of video games for TVs and media players and that kind of stuff. They should just put a 4K Blu-ray player in that sucker. So the fact that this guy has one has me thinking, because I want to buy a 4K player, and if I'm going to spend the money to, they're a couple $100 right now. If I'm going to spend that kind of money on a 4K Blu-ray player, this could also be an option for me.
And I'm not.
That's really interesting.
I'm not. I don't have a 4K TV. I don't have any 4K content. I'm not looking at getting anything in the near future. So this new system to me flags that the older stuff, which is fine for me, just the HD, the more powerful current gen stuff, that's going to be at a more reasonable price, and I'm going to jump. Yeah. I'm going to jump on that.
Awesome. Well, you know what may also be coming out in 4K? I think you have a talk about this, Richard. What's coming to Netflix? What's coming back to Netflix? In 4K.
All right.
All right. Really awful segment.
Segue.
Really awful segue.
Yeah, hold up.
Yeah, pivot. Pivot.
I know. I'm sorry. Is it? I mean, you may be right.
I thought that all Netflix shows, and this is all going to stay in, by the way.
Oh no! All right. All right.
No editing.
I'll try to work with it. All right. Here we go. So, Jessica Jones season 2 is coming, and we're going to talk in a little bit. We're going to talk in our next episode. Is that better? Just edit all this out.
Oh my God.
Nope. None of it's coming out.
All right. Anyways, in season 2,
But yes, Wyatt, you're correct. All of them are coming out in 4K currently. All the new stuff.
Okay, so my
segue did work.
My transition was rough, but technically accurate.
fantastic. Here's your new edit point. That's right, Wyatt. Season 2 of Jessica Jones, which will be on Netflix, will
leaving it in.
Will be in 4K. And the news this week is that David Tennant, who played the Purpleman in season 1, is confirmed to return for season 2. And I love this because I loved his character in season 1. And he was, to me, a great superhero movie or story begins with a great supervillain. And I've said it before, the Purpleman was as good a villain as, he's right up there with Loki in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's somebody that you could actually put up against the Avengers, and they would have trouble taking this guy down. So I'm glad to see him back. It's all good news. I'm glad for season 2. I'm glad for 4K on Netflix.
That you'll have to get your new Xbox.
I'll have to get a new TV, to watch it. So I'll add that to the list.
Purpleman coming back, that'll be pretty good. But let's talk Punisher. Let's talk that Punisher trailer.
Well, that's right. So there's a lot of news this week. Defenders just came out. There's news with Jessica Jones. And one thing they rolled out with the Defenders is a new trailer for the Punisher. And for those of you that follow Marvel Netflix in 4K, we first saw the Punisher in season 2 of Daredevil, but now he's getting his own series with what's his name? He's not Carl. I know our listeners.
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal.
Shane.
Season 1.
Shane from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I always go to Shane. I always go to Shane from The Shield, but Shane from The Walking Dead,
the man that rubs his head more than anyone on television.
Yeah. And also Deborah Ann Wall, who's also played what's her character's name in Daredevil and season 1 and 2. She's reprising her role in this as well.
Okay. So they've released a new trailer for his show, and it looks great. Looks like we're going to get the backstory, which, I mean, they've those of you that have watched the movies, we've seen his backstory. I actually haven't seen
several times.
I actually haven't seen any of these Punisher movies. I know some are. I know some are good and some are bad and some prefer. I hear.
Do you like Dolph Lundgren's balls?
Yeah, exactly. They are all great.
Well, I hear Warzone's pretty good.
But
and
is it going to be a backstory? Is this as with the series?
I'm sure we're going to get a backstory thrown in there.
Well, that's kind of what season 2 of Daredevil was about, right?
Well, I think
it'll probably flesh it out. It'll probably flesh it out a little bit more. I mean, somebody definitely watched John Wick from this trailer.
No doubt, yeah. Based on some of the shots in the trailer, I mean, I think we're gonna see his family and what happened to them and what kind of throws him into becoming the Punisher. So, it all looks good. Everything looks good for.
There's also some war stuff. There's some. Like in Iraq or Afghanistan or something like that. Yeah. I mean, there's some crazy stuff.
Some of these shots are from Daredevil season 2. I recognize a couple of them. But yeah, I'm sure some of them are obviously like the stuff of him actually in like the fatigues is from the show, the new series. But I think some of this, because they kind of went into his backstory of why he is the way he is in Daredevil season 2. And I mean, I think that, in my opinion, he's the best cast Punisher. I mean, I think that I mean, Thomas Jane, I have a soft spot for him as an actor. I think that he's hit and miss in some things, but I always like to see him in things. But this guy is just perfect for playing this character.
Yeah, I like Tom Jane. Now, like I said, I haven't seen any of the Punishers, but I've seen some of Tom Jane's other work. So he always felt like a weird choice for me for the Punisher. But John Barenthal, like, that guy is Frank something?
Frank Castle.
Frank Castle.
Frank Castle. Oh, God. We're going to get letters.
He really sells this both, which is like a I don't want to say a tenderness, but an emotional side to why he is so vengeful and why he has the opposite point of view that like some of the other street level heroes in this world have of no matter what you do, they're just going to keep coming. So let's just kill them, you know, and he says it a lot more heartfully and eloquently that makes you think. So I couldn't be more. I'm more excited about this Punisher series than I even am about the Defenders. I'm just going to be honest here.
That's true.
I would agree with that. And now, Richard, all right, you haven't seen Punisher with Thomas Jane in it, and you know that's a long watch. It's a full movie, and you know it's an okay movie. It's not the best thing, but it's a good, entertaining ride. Even better representation of the Punisher, though, is the short Dirty Laundry. Have either one of you seen Dirty Laundry?
And Tom Jane reprises his role.
Yeah, Thomas Jane comes back as the Punisher, as Frank Castle, in this little 10-minute short.
Yeah.
And it is fantastic.
Now, that was done before he was ever announced in this. That's when I think Fox still had the rights or something. And now they got him back, and he was in the Daredevil season 2. So I think that short was done before that, right?
Yeah. This short was done. There's a whole story behind this short, and I cannot remember it enough to repeat it on the show, because it had something to do with like, I don't know, I think it's like even the same director or something like that. Somebody wasn't happy with how the Punisher movie turned out, and then they went to Punisher Warzone, which is like, hey, let's do like a truly ultraviolet, not ultraviolet, that movie,
the garbage
ultraviolet version.
The only movie I've ever walked out on.
The only movie that you called me and told me don't watch this, and I was in line for it, and I walked away.
Well, yeah, that short is kind of been. I think it was either produced or directed by this guy named Adi Shankar, and he's kind of been in the world of these kind of executive producing kind of these IPs that are beloved to people but aren't out in mainstream media anymore until now. So like he did that sci-fi action short Power Rangers before the Power Rangers movie came out, if you guys remember.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Wait, he did that?
The one with
really?
What's his
he
face?
was involved in that. He did one for Venom that was like Venom being like a serial killer, Eddie Brock. He did that. He is also did a Judge Dredd short that, and then he was actually an executive producer on Dredd. So he, I believe, is an executive producer on that new Castlevania series that Richard likes so much on Netflix. So he's this guy's all over the place. I mean, he is out there in Hollywood trying to hit on these big properties.
Well, man, he's everything that I've seen him, like they need to give him more, because he they're always usually dark and kind of messed up a little bit, but they're still really well done.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
Have you guys seen Thomas Jane in The Expanse?
No, I've been hearing Adam Savage talk about how much he loves The Expanse on this like tested.com stuff.
Yeah, but you should just Google a photo of him. He is. I didn't know it was him. Like I watched that show, I didn't know it was him. I was like, wait a minute, he's in The Expanse, and I clicked it. And I was like, he's so lean, and he dropped so much weight. He does not look like himself. I was just kind of like, what?
So he's definitely not coming back to do the Punisher.
Yeah, exactly. He does not look like Frank Castle anymore. He looks like Frank Castle's anemic brother.
He looks like Frank canceled. That's what you said.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, you stuttered, but hey, it worked.
Oh, okay. Moving on to my first story, which is a trailer that dropped just today, actually, for Philip K. Dick anthology series. And if you get a chance, take a look at the show notes, and I'm gonna put a link. We'll put a link to this. And the first thing that got me was Philip K. Dick. I was like, ooh, and it's the full title, Philip K. Dick's Electronic Dreams, and it's an anthology show. So it's like Black Mirror or some of my favorites, like The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits. I always love these kind of shows. So for this to be coming, that got me interested. I'm like, Philip K. Dick. Unfortunately, Philip K. Dick, his name is not quite as bad as Tom Clancy, but I do feel that a lot of people stick his name on a lot of stuff. They find one little kernel from a story, and they're like, oh, well, this is based on a Philip K. Dick short or not. And the man wrote so many short stories, and some of them are so good. I really enjoy reading them. So I was excited to see this, but I was a little worried. So I, hit play on this video. I didn't read the article before, and it comes up and it kind of starts and it looks weird and it looks interesting. And then Steve Buscemi's face pops up.
Yeah.
Like, go on.
Well, with these anthology shows, you can really afford to bring in like a big name actor or a well-respected actor for like an episode, Yeah.
Cause and you look at it and you have such great talent in front of the camera. And then you find out that Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad fame,
of Total Recall fame.
Total Recall fame and Malcolm in the Middle fame, is one of the was one of the creators of the show, is a producer on this show. And then on top of that, you got Michael Dinner and from Justified. And then you have a guy that I've loved his career, Ronald D. Moore, because he rebooted Battlestar Galactica. And before that, he did Deep Space Nine. And before that, he did Star Trek The Next Generation. So, it's like,
he's got a lot going for it.
Pretty much everything. Yeah, I've loved pretty much everything this guy has ever done. So I'm, except for Caprica. Nobody liked Caprica. So the people in front of the camera look great. The people behind the camera, those are trusted people. It looks like, I was watching it and I'm like, wait a minute, is that a scene from The Gun? Is that a scene from Lost? Like all these Philip K. Dick stories that I know, I'm thinking like that may be from that and that may be from this. And oh wait, that. And so I'm super excited to see this come to pass, because some of Philip K. Dick's stories are crazy.
So this trailer is for the the whole series. This isn't just for like a one episode. This trailer kind of covers, you think, all the shots from a lot of the different episodes.
Yeah, because if you just watch it, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's so over the map. You're like, what am I watching? It's future, it's past, it's fantasy, it's, suburbia, it's city, it's the desert. And you're just like, what am I looking at? And then you're like, oh wait, it's an anthology show. It's every single episode's going to be different. So, some are going to be hit and some are going to be misses, but I'm excited to see this. The problem that I have is that I don't know if this is coming to the US.
No, it is. It says in that article that you mentioned, if you read the superfine print, that Amazon is actually is distributing it for the US. So should be available on Amazon Prime Video.
Okay, good. I got Amazon Prime. I'm good.
Yeah. So that's good news.
Yeah, there was the article says at the end, there's no indication, when the show will be released in the U.S. So it's coming to the U.S. We just don't know when.
Yeah, they would be silly not to release it with the U.S. with the star power behind it and in front of the camera. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah, I am too. There's going to be a lot of great future tech in there and some future concept ideas. I love these shows. Because they can really push the boundaries. Hopefully it'll be something that the whole family can watch, or at least, older kids and adults can enjoy and get around and see some really cool new gadgets. Speaking of new gadgets, my second story, Facebook augmented reality. Do you guys know anything about this?
I'm familiar a little bit with augmented reality, but I've never really. No, go for it.
Yeah,
Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know Facebook owns Oculus, and I haven't really seen them do anything with that. I wonder if this is attached to that.
Well, I'm kind of interested because last year at F8, which is like Facebook's conference where they bring all their developers together and they show off new stuff, they showed some renderings of AR or augmented reality glasses. And for Legion, if you don't know what augmented reality is, it's basically like a heads up display from a video game. It overlays a 3D world on top of your world using these glasses to show that to you. That versus VR, virtual reality, which is an enclosed system where you're actually just seeing that 3D world, like the Oculus Rift.
It's kind of like Minority Report too.
Yeah.
Like where you'll be able to like interact with something you're seeing or right. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's, I don't know how much of interaction you're going to be able to do with the glasses. I mean, you have to have some kind of input device to do that. But, you know, if you were getting directions to a place, it would show you on your glasses, turn left, turn right. You know, Google did a little bit of this with the Google Glass a couple of years ago, which never was pretty much died on the launching pad. I mean, it had a little success, but it never caught on. Facebook is hopefully going to do something interesting here. They haven't really announced anything except for somebody pulled up some patents, and that's what the show link is, which these look just like regular sunglasses, which are going to kind of be interesting. But on top of that, I have gotten 3 surveys from Facebook specifically asking me about elements of augmented reality, about how would I use it? Would I be interested in it? What would it be? What would I use it for? And they gave me some multiple choices. So I just wanted to bring this up, that this may be something that's going to be coming up in the not too distant future, that you're going to see something like that. Now, is it going to be like the Snapchat glasses and stuff like that has a camera on it and then it shares it to the world whenever you tap the side or whatever? Or is it just going to give you Facebook notifications? Is it just going to give you the news feed so you can see all the hateful things that your relatives put up on Facebook? Who knows? But I wanted to ask you guys, would you be interested in this if this gave you, maybe instead of having a watch, that gave you notifications if it was in your glasses, or if it gave you status updates or allowed you to connect to Facebook, or to, showed you events that were happening around? Like you would just look around and you could see like, oh, there's an event over there, or, oh, if I go over there, my friend Steve is there. Let me Facebook message him for lunch. Would you guys have any interest in that kind of thing? Or is this just crazy pie in the sky tech?
I'd be interested in it like a couple generations from now, but I don't know about, those are going to be some expensive glasses that are going to break. I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna sit back and wait and see what it does, and then see what people like Samsung or some of these other tech manufacturers can kind of do differently, and then see where everybody kind of lands in the middle. And probably by then, when the price drops, because this thing's going to have, Gen 1 pricing.
Yeah.
I'll wait a while until the Pebble of Facebook glasses makes something, and then maybe I'll jump on board.
Yeah, I think that the technology definitely has merit. I think that the usefulness to me has yet to be exemplified by what you can do with it. I mean, like, well, you mentioned, sat nav or GPS directions that could be really useful. Or if you're running or bike riding or hiking, I could see that being a useful product for that. But they would really have to sell me on like 5 really great uses along with that for me to even dip my toe into the water of this. Plus, I wear glasses right now. So, like, are they having a clip-on version? Or, what am I going to do if I already have glasses? So that's where I would stand on it.
Is there anything that if it did this, you would be all in?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, no, that's a valid answer.
What'd be cool is if like you're at a store and you're looking for something you want to buy, and you could like check prices of other stores. Do your Amazon search while you're in Best Buy, and without pulling out your phone, without looking like some jerk that's price checking everything. You could just you're just a silent jerk that's checking everything. You're just standing there with your glasses looking at it, and that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be cool, but for me, it would have to be something that's like inherently useful to something that it solves a problem that I have in my everyday life.
Or like heads up display for driving your car.
Yeah, that would be great if you could. They have those things now where you can hook it to your car computer and it sends a signal to your phone. If they could do something with the glasses that like gave you info about your car, or your gas mileage, your navigation directions, all those kinds of things.
It can give you night vision.
That would be really useful.
Yeah,
that would be really useful. Yeah. Now, if it was a true heads-up display and it showed me how much ammo I had, and if I had a life bar, it would be super useful.
It has hearts. It has hearts on the top of it, like Zelda.
I need a GoldenEye plug-in. I need to know where I'm receiving damage from. I need to.
Yeah. If it told me where people were, yeah.
Wouldn't that be disturbing if you're just walking down the road and you just see your heart just go to half and you're like, whoa, what happened? Why did I
Too many UV rays. My wife was right. I should be using sunscreen.
Well, speaking of something else that's at the end of its life, Mass Effect Andromeda.
You and your segues. Well done, sir.
Well, I have to make up for that really poor one that I did early in the show. So Mass Effect Andromeda did not come out too long ago, but BioWare has officially end-of-lifed Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, I never played Andromeda, but you did, correct, Kenneth?
Yeah, I've sunk probably about 25 hours into it, I think. And I stopped playing it. I want to revisit it, but at the time, it was right when it came out. There were a lot of bugs with it, as usually happens these days. You start playing a game right when it comes out. Beta testing or not, alpha testing or not, there's always going to be some bugs. And there was with this, so I was going to wait for, the updates to come. I just haven't jumped back on it yet. I enjoyed what I played. I didn't quite enjoy it as much as I did, say, Mass Effect 1 or 2. The story just wasn't there. The characters just weren't there for me, but the gameplay was actually fun. It was a little repetitive in terms of what you had to do, but so was Mass Effect in its own way, in the other games in the series.
Well, I mean, this game came out March 21st, so it's about 5 months.
I can't believe
it was a full 5 months and they've killed it.
Yeah, not only if you think about it in terms of Mass Effect DLC, even the first game before they were owned by EA had some DLC, and it was like full on couple of hours of story DLC. But just look at like since EA has purchased BioWare, look at like games like the Dragon Age series and Mass Effect, how much DLC they put out for those games. They are just money traps because they know they have a big fan following, and EA is just making them pump out all this extra content, whether it's a download $10 and you get a bunch of costumes for your characters or something like that.
But they've announced that the one DLC that they had remaining, the one story DLC, that they've canceled that will no longer come out in the game. Now, they say that they're going to continue the story arc of Andromeda in other mediums like novels and comic books, but it doesn't sound like we're going to get another game.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like they're cutting their losses. If after 5 months, they're going like, hey, look, update 1.10, that's it. We're not going to fix any more bugs. We're not going to give you any more content. And on top of that, the content that we did announce, we're no longer going to put that out. And instead, we're going to put out some, I'm guessing they already had planned comic books and novels to fill in that story to at least not leave you hanging. So I give them that if you did get into the Mass Effect arc or this arc of Andromeda, at least you're not going to be like, well, I guess nothing. It's like, I guess they all died.
I give them
continue on with it.
I give them nothing. If you don't finish it in the format you created it in, it doesn't count.
I agree with Richard on that point because I don't want to have even TV, like all these comic book movies are having like these comic book prequel comics that come out before the movie.
So you guys weren't into the Buffy comics or the, did Firefly have a comic? I feel like Firefly should have had a comic.
I'm sure everything has a comic.
No, I'm not into anything.
And Smallville has like a season 10 or a season 11. Like it's a comic of Tom Welling in the suit being Superman. Yeah.
But I agree. I really agree with Richard that this is just, his statement just really sums up how I feel about that. That is hilarious. I've never
hopefully because November 7th, which is in 7 Day, which is a big deal for if you know the Mass Effect world, that's been for quite a few years now since the original trilogy. That's coming up. Hopefully they'll announce something, or maybe they'll just let this lie for a while. I don't know.
It's a big nail in the coffin for the Mass Effect as a series because I mean you look at like Bethesda, like they're big IPs that they've been pushing are like Fallout and Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim's like 4 or 5 years old now, and Fallout 4 is like 2 years old, and they are still like doing things with it. Whether it was like the new edition that came out on PS4 and PC for Skyrim, which I never played by the way, but I want to. But they're still pushing out the stuff for these games because they were so popular and so well received in some regards.
Yeah, last week we were talking about the Game of the Year edition for Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And that was like a 2-year-old game, and they're still like, here's another version that you can buy. And here's more content that you can play with.
And that series of games is going to continue on. There's no doubt about it. I think this could be the nail in the coffin for Mass Effect as we know it, which is sad because I so enjoyed 1 and 2. Like, I'd play them right now if I had an Xbox.
Yeah, and I really did enjoy Mass Effect. I hope that they can find some way to bring it back. I really think with 3, they pigeonholed themselves. I mean, they pretty much just destroyed the galaxy in a lot of ways, or at least how to travel between. Look, Mass Effect 3. The spoilers are blue, red, and green lights at the end. That's all you need to know, and it's stupid. But speaking of another sci-fi beloved series that's coming back, we may have a new Galaxy Quest TV show.
Yeah.
I am really, I don't have anything else to say about that other than Galaxy Quest is awesome. And the series
Paul
has some
Scheer,
new writers. I'm sorry?
Isn't it? What's his name? Paul Scheer?
It's Paul Scheer from, from like Veep or one of my favorite podcasts, How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
You guys know about How Did This Get Made?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's how I really
he was
know
in the
Paul.
League. That's where I remember him from as well.
Yeah, no, he's a fantastic comedian, fantastic writer. I'm excited to see him helming this. I'm interested to see how the Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, Orville.
The Orville, how that does next month?
Yeah.
I think that comes out. So I'm interested to see that because that felt very Galaxy Quest. So I don't know if 2 Galaxy Quest like shows at the same time. Plus you have the new Star Trek coming out.
That's right. The original.
Star Trek Galaxy Discovery is coming out. So which looks like Mass Effect. So it's all circular. But so that's just really something to keep on the radar that may be coming out, and they've got some interesting and cool talent.
Is there any word if any of the original cast members are going to jump into this thing? Well, obviously not Alan Rickman, but like Sigourney Weaver, Tim Allen, or Tony Shalhoub.
What's Tim Allen doing right now? Nothing.
He just got canceled on that.
Exactly.
Other TV
He just got canceled. He loved TV.
Sigourney Weaver's doing Netflix Defenders, so she's on the TV.
That's right. Where's it?
Tony Shalhoub was
She's also
in
doing
Monk for
shorts
years.
for for what's his name?
Where's Guy?
Yeah.
Out of everybody, I would love to see Guy come back. He would be the one. Everybody else would be like, "Oh, that'd be great." But Guy coming back, I would love that. What's that guy's name? Sam
Rockwell.
Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell, yeah.
You don't know. You don't even
fantastic.
know my name.
I gotta watch that again. We should do a review show of that.
Oh yeah. We should do a nostalgia review of Galaxy Quest. It's so good. That between that and Moon with Sam Rockwell, I'm in.
He's done some good ones like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one too. Okay, well we can't have the whole show
love
just
you,
naming
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, naming good Sam Rockwell movies.
Iron Man 2.
It'd be quicker to name bad ones. All right,
Iron Man 2.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well played, Richard. Well played.
Cowboys and Aliens.
God, was he in that?
Was he in that?
Yeah.
I hated that movie.
Those are both Jon Favreau.
They are.
Too.
Jeez.
But funny story, I think Sam Rockwell was like the second choice to play Iron Man before Robert Downey Jr. actually came on. But
Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. I mean, he is Tony Stark. He's not Iron Man. He's Tony Stark. He is that guy. So he just plays that to a T. But anyway, let's keep the show moving because we're getting a little long in the tooth. Let's move on to RecommenDADtions. Kenneth, what do you have for us this week?
So, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about like ways to carry your keys or cell phone cases that are also wallets and those kinds of everyday carries. So my RecommenDADtion today is a wallet that I owned that was actually originally, I believe, Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of these things, and I've done several of those campaigns, and they don't always work out. So the fact that I actually received something in the mail that I paid for was amazing. And not only that, this wallet is for me really great, and I am a front pocket wallet guy. I have been carrying my wallet in my front pocket since I was probably 18. Just from times going to I used to go to a lot of concerts and stuff when I was younger. And so I just always put my wallet in my front pocket. I got used to it there. I always knew I had it. And this is just a really minimalist wallet. It's got, see how many, three, I'll look at it right here. It's got a couple of good features. It's RFID blocking. It's got three slots on the side for cards and then slots on the inside. It's got a kind of a money band, cash band, and then it has a quick slot for your most used card or your ID if you get it out a lot, right on the front of the wallet. It's super small. It's super thin. I love this thing. It's like $35. So I would say that's a comparable wallet price, but for some leather wallets, you can really get up into in the hundreds of dollars if you had to. That's kind of nuts to me. But these guys also make a couple of different styles of wallets. So say you need a little more room or you want a different color or I'm not sure about material. I think everything's leather, but they make a couple of different styles. But this is the one I have. We've been talking a lot about minimalizing what you carry every day. And this really made me get rid of all these club cards and cards that I don't need every day. I just have a couple of credit cards, my ID, and some room for some cash and my health insurance card. And that's all I need. And it's really light. I don't sit on my wallet, so I carry it in my front pocket. It goes in the same pocket as my cell phone. So the fact that it's so small really helps out in the pants department.
Well, I love that we've been talking about minimalizing, but yet I'm just like, all right, and order. It's like now my everyday carry, because of all these suggestions, it's gone insane.
I dig this, and my wife got me this super thin wallet. It's I'm almost ashamed to like show people because but it does the job perfectly. It's a super thin wallet. You can get it at like Walgreens. The only trick is the thing. It feels like it's made out of duct tape, and it looks like.
Is it that magic wallet?
It just look. I'm not going to say.
It's like you can fold it either way.
No,
you can fold it either way, and the cash never comes out. Remember those?
It's a regular one, but it feels like it's made out of paper. The only thing is, it does the job. And what I like about this is at $35, this thing kind of fits in my like price range, and I can get something that's like of a decent quality material that's not duct tape or paper.
So you don't feel like a 12-year-old?
Well, I don't go flashing my wallet around. I love how thin it is. It's just, man, it feels like it's made out of paper. But.
And to be fair, I do not have one of the ones that you can buy off this specific website. I think they've made some changes to it, made it a little bit sturdier than it probably was when it first came out, probably refined their production processes. I have the one that was done years ago that's held up now. I mean, the stitching's not coming off or anything, which is amazing because usually my wallets fall apart, even carrying them in my front pocket wallet, not to mention if you're sitting on a wallet every day. But this thing's really held up nicely, and the leather is not like peeling. You know, I have had those wallets where the leather is either not real leather or not a good quality, and it starts to peel. I'm not seeing any of that with this. It's just, it feels like good quality stuff, and for $35, that's a good wallet price for me.
Very nice. So, Richard, what do you have for us this week?
Yeah, so we've been talking, as we always do, about some retro stuff, things we love in the past. And one thing I wanted to kind of bring to y'all's attention, everyone out there, we're from Texas, so we get to say y'all. I used to fight it forever, but now I've embraced it. It's just a faster way to say you all. So y'all's attention is there's a TV show. It's on AMC. And it's on Netflix, and it just started its final season, and it's Halt and Catch Fire. If you guys haven't seen this, it is a fantastic period piece that takes place in the 80s, maybe early 70s, but at the beginning of kind of the Silicon boom. And it's about this fictional company that kind of got in there. And each season they've kind of done a different thing, like the internet came along or something like that, and they've changed themselves. Now, my one argument is that for 4 seasons, these guys have created 4 genius ideas. I mean, I think only Steve Jobs, and that's kind of what this show kind of mimics. Only Steve Jobs in our world could create 4 genius ideas, but this show's great, and
like the Apple Hi-Fi.
Well, yeah,
like everyone knows, and
or the Pippin, or
Pulse. Was that the name of their social network?
I forget.
I forget.
I don't know.
Anyways, this show is a period piece in the 80s, which is fantastic for those of you that grew up in that day and age. The costuming, the music, everything is on point. I watch it for the characters. Like I said, some of the story and everything kind of gets a little ridiculous, but the characters are what keep me engaged. I think the last season ended with the Nintendo NES system being released, and what
imagine that,
and what changes that brought to everybody at, I forget the name of the company.
Richard, this is an intervention. You need help.
I know. So anyways, y'all check out
Halt
and Catch Fire.
Check this out.
I'm sure it's been winning tons of Emmys. It's real good. It's got Lee Pace in it. It's got what's his face? He was in Batman v Superman.
Scoot McNairy.
And you know what? They made a big deal about him being in Batman v Superman. And I was like, who's this guy? Well, go watch Halt and Catch Fire, and you will learn who Scoot McNairy is.
Well, I've watched the all up to date on HBO's Silicon Valley. So I kind of feel like this, and I like that show because the subject matter of these tech guys. So
and I'm out.
I'm gonna check this out.
I'm behind. Like I haven't seen Silicon Valley. Is that present day?
Yes.
Okay, so
Silicon Valley.
This will be kind of that with a,
but it's also Mike Judge,
twist.
An 80s twist to it. Yeah.
Well, excellent. Yeah, no, I enjoyed *Halt and Catch Fire*. I actually caught that on AMC whenever it first came out. Very, very good series.
But it is on Netflix now, like the full series.
It's on Netflix.
Yes.
They just started their final season, I think, this week. So you can kind of catch up and maybe ride out the rest of the show in real time.
Sweet.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, my recommendation this week, we had talked about the Obi Wan Kenobi comic book earlier in the episode. I want to bring back, it's a little bit of an older comic from 2015, but actually, if you haven't been reading the new Darth Vader comics, I really recommend you start picking them up. They have a new series that started in 2017 that I think they're on like issue like 5 or so. And that's all about how Darth Vader gets his lightsaber, which is really cool. But I think a better one to start with is Vader Down, which is a shorter series of stories, but basically Darth, and it deals with all their classic characters. The timeline is it happens after A New Hope, but before episode 4, before which Empire Strikes Back, before the Battle of Hoth. Darth Vader is trying to find Luke Skywalker. He finds out that the pilot who destroyed the Death Star's last name is Skywalker. He goes searching for him. And this was the comic that after reading this, I was like, yes, Vader is bad. Vader is super strong. And they kind of epitomize that in Rogue One, that end scene at Rogue One, where he is just decimating people in that hallway. This is a comic that's all that. You see Darth Vader really just tear into people, and you see why people feared him. And it's a really interesting comic. You also kind of see some of his motivations on things, and really like Luke, Han, Leia, Chewbacca, they're all in there. They are so side characters. they are not the main focus of this. It is all about Darth Vader. There's a series. This is actually in the middle of Vader Down is in the middle of a series, but I would suggest check out Vader Down if you like that and you kind of like, well, wait a minute, who is this and who is she and what does this mean and how does that all connect? Then go back and pick up the entire Darth Vader series from 2015. It's definitely worth a read, but I would start. This is how I started. I started with Vader Down and I got super excited seeing, Vader just give some really great one-liners and just destroying rebel soldiers left and right and taking down Y-Wings with nothing, with just the Force. And it's really a lot of fun. And all of them are really good. And they're really kind of building back to that Anakin Skywalker from episode 1, 2, and 3. Don't think about him. This is Darth Vader. And he's bad.
That sounds all fine and dandy, but I'm not crazy about the title. It sounds like something, if Darth Vader had talked in the third person, it sounds like something he'd say, like Vader Down.
Well, the title's not good, but basically, I mean, in the first few pages, he gets shot down. Like he gets ambushed and shot down. And that's like he's crash landed on this planet that's a rebel base. And basically the entire rebel base is sent out to capture or kill him.
Yeah. And it looks like this is
and
written.
You see him go like, yeah, I'm not going to make this easy on you. And he does it. And it's
Vader's
awesome.
Down. Vader Down. Now it looks like it's written by Jason Aaron, who's been handling writing duties on Thor, I think since 2012 for Marvel. And that is some of the best Thor comics ever written in terms of the story and just the kind of mythology of Thor. So this guy knows what he's doing. So I'm actually really interested in seeing what he does with Vader.
Yeah. So I'd pick this up. It's definitely worth the time. And it's on Comixology. It's on the Marvel app. If
it's 99 cents.
Yeah, and exactly. That's the thing. It's like it's an old comic too, so you can get the whole series for super cheap. So I would get into this before I'd get into the 2017 stuff, just because 2017 stuff's closer to full price.
So how many issues is it?
Vader,
is it like a limited run thing or?
Well, Vader down. I mean, you can get in a trade back.
Oh, like the full set?
The full set. They have that available now. And then there's a Darth Vader series.
Okay.
I'd have to go find it all. But yeah, there's a Darth Vader series that Vader Down's in the middle of it. So if you wanted to, you could be like, all right, just give me all of them. But
okay, cool.
But if you were kind of weary about it, I'd just pick up the first issue of Vader Down on Comixology. And,
every time you say it. Vader Down. I can't do a James Earl Jones, but
I thought that was pretty good.
You are beaten, Vader Down.
Little Samuel L. Jackson, anyway. Well, Richard, where can people find us?
The Legion can email us, perhaps a question, to legionofdads@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow at Legion of Dads on Twitter. And like or subscribe or rate us at Legion of Dads on iTunes or visit legionofdads.com.
And at the end of the show, we like to end with the last laugh, our dad joke of the week. Who has a joke for me this week?
All right, I got something for you guys. This is an old one, but it's pretty good. All right, so all right. Two peanuts were walking down the street. One was assaulted.
And with that, stay tuned.
Was it honey
for
roasted?
Our next show, where we will be talking the Netflix Marvel not cinematic music. What is it called actually?
Episodic? I don't know.
The Netflix, the Marvel Netflix
Marvel
shows?
Cinematic Universe television series?
Question mark? All right, let me try that.
Leave it in there.
All right, I'll leave it. That's the title of the show. Just leave it in. All right. So check out next episode where we talk Marvel Netflix shows. Good night, Legion.